I'm gonna go ahead and get started with this one, as it needs the least to be completed. Charging up a battery now. This is a new battery. Gotta get rid of all my old ones. I don't trust them. Haven't been used in a while. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get the battery charged up, bind up a fly sky, and test this thing for what it is. I don't remember where I left off here. I know obviously it's got the red gears in here. Yeah, this one was mint condition. I'm pretty sure this is all I need. I think it's cool how they did the dual spring for the manifold mount. There's a tab on each side of the motor the spring hooks into, instead of it hooking around like traditionally, but you can also use it traditionally if you want. So if you lose the two springs, you can still use one of the regular big springs. But yeah, the good thing about me having been the last person to work on this is I can have a good guess at where I left off, and I'm pretty sure, like I said, this is the only parts that I need to get this one to, you know, be a roller. I mean, be ready to run. Sorry. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and get these parts installed, and I'll actually bench test this, just see where things stand. Obviously, I know I need an air filter, but for these purposes, I'll go without. But yeah, this should be close to done. All right, got the pipe installed. The fuel line's hooked up. Just waiting on this battery. I like this fuel. It's my last gallon. I gotta order some more for the good weather. There's some old fuel in here. It's a little gelled up. Honestly, I'm okay with that. It's just sun. But yeah. I really do like these fuel tanks, the built-in primers. That's primed. Just gonna wait until it's bound up to test it. But for this one, gather up some more parts as well. Alright, so I got the rear posts, the tank, and the pipe hanger installed. I think I want to make this one, since I already have this engine sitting here, the small block. I just gotta go ahead and find the correct mounts. Then I can drop this engine right in here. So I had another one of these 15s and another CEN, but I don't plan on keeping that, so I pulled it. I'll reveal that CEN later. But got it fitted into the CT. Now I'm just gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna get the carburetor to operate. I went ahead and tried to put a HPI carburetor in, but it just doesn't quite fit. So I think what I'm gonna try to do is do some sort of hinge mount system. Probably use one of these three screw holes to mount the HPI Savage throttle servo hinge, so that I can use this rotary carb. But yeah, that's a project for another time. So yeah, at least this one's together for now. I went ahead with the Traxxas hood pins to hold these in, and it's pretty rigid, so I'll probably do that going forward instead of trying to find the little screws that go into it. But while I was finishing this, the battery finished charging, so we'll go ahead and get this one tested, bench start it and see where things stand. All right, so get this bound up. I went ahead already and labeled this CEN, but for anyone who doesn't know how to do the FlySky bind process, I'll show you. So channel 3 is the bind plug. Hook up the servos. The hell? There we go. Oh, I guess I had the bind plug between 2 and 3 instead of on 3, so that's why I was given an issue. So because I'm going to use this battery on different vehicles, one of the things I do is I take the unused port and I cut it off. If it was going to be in one battery that had the switch with 3 ports, I would leave it, but I'm not changing out the switch. So just go ahead and snip it off, cut off the excess. Make sure not to cut the wires. That should work. All right, now that it's all hooked up, I'm gonna start the bind process. Plug the switch in. Turn on the vehicle. Be blinking because the bind plug's in. And you grab the radio and you make sure it's on the desired channel that you're going to be using. I already did that, I showed you before. And you hold the bind plug button, pardon me, and then you press the on button. And then the blinking on the receiver will go away. And that's the end of the bind process. To test it, you turn it off, unplug, and then turn it on. And that's how it works. So, just figured I'd share that because I was doing it anyway. I already primed it, so we'll see. That's why I wanted to use this. So, like I said, I'm glad I'm the last person who worked on this before because I knew where it stood. I would keep running it, I just don't want to set off the fire alarm. It's kind of late. But we'll mark that down as one complete. 1.5, I guess. I just gotta finish the linkage here. So I'll go ahead and start working on this one, sourcing the parts and completing it. And we'll go from there. Alright, so I've got this one ready to test. Gotta finish the linkage on this one. This one needs an engine and linkage and a pipe. So I think that's an okay place to leave off with this one. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this fresh chassis. And I have these front and rear end here. They came off of a previous disassemble, but they're clean enough to leave together. I don't think it's worth disassembling and reassembling these just because of how clean they are. The differential, they definitely have old grease, and they may have extra shims. They feel a little tight, but they're feels good enough to go ahead and drive the way it is. The other thing I've noticed is that there's a few chips on some of the teeth of these spur gears, but it's not enough to not use it. So I'm gonna go ahead and send it. We'll just go ahead and get these front and rear end slapped on here. I'm gonna change the shocks as well. Front and rear end installed on the chassis. Now it's time to put the top chassis and the belt assembly together. I need to find the bottom portion of the front bumper. Yeah, that's where it is so far. So I am assembling this pulley and shaft, and I just wanted to make sure that I was looking at it proper, and I just wanted to focus on these two pieces here and share with you some new information that I'm not even sure if any of these vehicles follow. So between the two pulleys, I noticed the difference in the teeth. One of them 16 and one of them 17, but the 17 has a little bit more of a raised end here. So I wanted to look at the instructions to see which one went where. So this is the part I wanted to share with you, is where the shaft is also specific in which way it goes. So there's the A side of the shaft, which is marked, and you can see that here. And I'll show you that you can see it here as well. You just barely see it because it's kind of worn a little bit on the shaft, but there is a groove right here, just below where the E-clip goes in. So that is where the 17 tooth raised edge pulley goes. And I noticed that it says 25 tooth here, but it also says 16, so I have 16. And I think I have some 25 tooth as well, in some of these, but again, I'd have to look. But this is something that I just learned, and this is what I mean by there's not a lot of information about this car online, so that's why I wanted to focus on in this video series. So for those who are into the CEN CT platform, this should help you if you are a little confused or uncertain about reassembling. So I'm going to go ahead and start slapping these parts together. Check back in with you. Alright, so I went ahead and assembled that. So this is what they call it, the lay shaft. So we've got the 17 that goes on the outside. So that's how that goes. I just have to find the middle belt. I'm gonna go ahead and swap out for the 25 tooth. So that's how you'll know. Obviously there's far too much play in this for it to work. Even with the tensioner, it's still kind of loose, but I think there's enough support in that tensioner for this to run well. But as you can see, I had to put the 25 tooth pulley on there for it to work. I don't know what belt this is, what car it came from. But yeah. As you can see, the 16 tooth would have been far too small, wouldn't have worked. So now I just gotta source that middle belt and we can get this top chassis on there. We'll have a complete car. Besides the rear shocks, I just gotta find the best ones in that pile. Alright, so I just gotta get some rear posts installed, and this is a roller minus the throttle servo. But yeah, came along quite well. Learned a few things about the belt sizes and pulley sizes, and found out this is called the lay shaft. As you can see, that's the 25 tooth pulley versus the 16 tooth. I don't know what tooth this belt is, but I don't know what brand it is either. MBL. I have no idea what that is. I know it was made in Japan though. This rear belt is the same brand. The center one is a CEN belt. You can see there. anyways, yeah, I took the wheels off of the original one that I had, and I'm actually going to go ahead and pop the engine out of here and use this car to figure out what's wrong with this engine. So just gotta sort some more stuff. But yeah, it's good to have this gone through. I gotta go through these two as well. I noticed this one has the 25 tooth. Where is it? Right there. So, gonna go through these two and finish this one. Hopefully that was helpful for anyone else who's working on this stuff. Stay tuned, as there's obviously more to go through.